Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror film reviews, ratings, rankings, and rumors. Now for your hosts, Danny, Joel, and Katrina.
Whoa, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with creepy Katrina. Yeah. And we've got Joker Joel.
Oh. Hey guys, what's up? I'm the Joker tonight.
Yeah. Just before we started recording, we were talking about Batman. So
yeah,
Joker was on the brain.
Yeah.
All right, so we are here with one of the more anticipated films of the year.
Yeah.
Longlegs.
Longlegs, Daddy Longlegs.
All right, Joel, can you tell us who is a part of this one?
All right, so this one stars Micah Monroe. We've actually talked about her on the podcast before. She was in Watcher from a couple years ago, which I think was Katrina's one of your favorites of the year.
Okay.
Significant Other, which came out in the same year. It Follows and They Follow, and The Guest as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Blair Underwood, who plays her boss. He was in Deep Impact, Malibu's Most Wanted. I had to add that one in there. And 35 episodes of Quantico. And we've got, as Longlegs himself, Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Bringing Out the Dead, Prisoners of the Ghostland. I wanted to do like horror movies because everyone knows who Nicolas Cage is. So, and Arcadian, which also came out this year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this was written by Oz Perkins, who is the son of Anthony Perkins, Norman Bates himself from Psycho. And he wrote The Black Coat's Daughter, which I want to see. I haven't seen that one yet.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which was a Netflix movie. Okay. I've heard of that. I haven't seen it, but I didn't know that was his. Removal, which I think was his first movie, which is also horror. And an upcoming Stephen King adaptation called The Monkey. That comes out next year, I believe. Actually, I think it comes out in February next year. So not too.
I think it's like a family horror movie, kind of.
Family horror,
like a family friendly.
Family horror.
Family friendly.
I think so.
Horror.
I
love the
something like
sound of that.
Yeah, like Goosebumps or something. It's
like
I think it's gonna be kind of like that.
Coraline.
James Wan is a producer, so I don't know of it, so I'm not sure. Yeah. This was directed by Oz Perkins as well, who directed Gretel and Hansel, which came out I think the year we did our podcast. But
is it Gretel and Hansel or Hansel and Gretel?
It's Gretel and Hansel this time.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, Black Coat's Daughter, The Monkey, and also another upcoming movie that's also in post-production called Keeper, which is also a horror movie. So he's got probably 2 more movies coming up next year.
Yeah.
So 2 more horror movies. One maybe family-friendly horror, and one probably not so much.
Yeah, I might be wrong about it, but I think that's what I kind of read about. So, all right. So, in pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree.
Oh, man.
All right. So, this one's been out for just a few days, but it's gained a lot of hype over especially the last few weeks when they had some pre-screenings and premieres and all that. So there are some reviews out there. So let's hear what people are saying.
Yes. So let's see here. Rotten Tomatoes only has 170 reviews so far from
Okay.
critics.
From the critics.
But it is quite fresh. We've got an 86%,
Okay.
which is a pretty high critic score.
Yeah.
It's definitely a critically acclaimed movie.
Yeah.
That will not get any awards or nominations.
Probably.
They hate horror, so.
Yeah. But what I'm surprised at is it drops pretty significantly for the audience score. There's 500 plus verified ratings, and it is at a 64%. So
Yeah.
still fresh, but
I know
86 to 64
Yeah.
is a pretty big drop, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I
curious
think I
to
know
hear
why.
your reasons why, but maybe after we
Yeah.
continue.
I have an idea of why too, but
Interesting. I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah.
IMDb is better than that though. So that was 86%. IMDb, wow, interesting. It was at 7.7 like when I first looked, and now it already went down to 7.4.
oh
Well,
wow.
that's a lot of reviews, though.
So 10,937.
10,000?
A lot. Yeah.
I looked at it, I thought today, and it said 7.7, and I thought it said 1,000.
Dude,
Yeah.
when we
Review.
first logged onto here,
Like 9,000
it
more
was
since I
at
looked.
7.7.
Yeah. It's kind of, yeah. It
Wow.
Really, yeah.
And it
10,000.
started dropping.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that. Here's the crazy thing. Then you got your audience rating for like Google 2.8.
Out of 5.
Yeah.
What? 2.8. You've got, but it's between a 1 and a 5. More
Yeah.
1 stars than 5.
Yeah.
There's a few 2s and just a couple 3 and 4. But what?
Yeah.
What did people watch?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I am curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
A 2.8 is kind of like a 60%. Like that's roughly about what Rotten Tomatoes was giving, at least the audience score, close to it.
Yeah, the audience score.
No.
But the thing is I feel like usually the Google score is higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know exactly why.
Okay, I need to hear why. Are we
I have
saying
the
now
facts.
or after?
I think
Spoilers.
We can I
what do you
mean,
think, Phil?
I don't think it's gonna spoil anything to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna give people an expectation for this movie going into it, I think.
Yeah. Well, part of the description already kind of gives the reason, at least why I think people are giving it a low score.
Okay.
Because of the occult subject matter. The killer's motivation.
Yeah.
There's talk on Twitter about people purposefully giving it 1 star because they don't like that content.
Mm-hmm.
It's too like evil for them.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was very uncomfortable with certain scenes, certain comments. It was hard to listen to, hard to watch certain statements that were made in the film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, for horror, like for watching a horror movie, it makes you so uncomfortable and icky that it's like, this is good.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's what horror is supposed to do.
Yeah, it's if I was watching if I was watching a Christian film, I'd definitely be upset about it. Some of the statements said.
As long as it's not a Christian movie.
But I think going into like an exorcist type movie, any kind of exorcism and those kind of realms, you're expecting that kind of stuff. In this movie, you weren't necessarily expecting that.
Yeah.
So I could see why that would throw people off, and they're like, heck no.
It is a little heavy.
It's pretty heavy. It's
some
heavy.
of that stuff. And there were pieces of the trailers and the little snippets that came out that kind of could tip that off.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be some kind of like, I don't know, like not necessarily demon, but like, I don't know. I didn't know what the heck to think.
So let's talk about that. The marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was marketed for months.
Mm-hmm.
So a few months ago, I don't remember the month, but there was this just cryptic thing that was posted or, put on YouTube by Neon Pictures. And it was just, I think the first one was just like a 911 call.
Mm-hmm.
Someone just frantically calling 911 and then just little pictures of just gruesome stuff. And then it had the Longlegs like cryptic letters.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't have the title.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't tell you anything about the movie. It was just like, okay, this movie is gonna be weird and creepy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like 10 seconds. Like it was really, really fast. And then there were multiple ones. I think for a few weeks there was like a few of these like just really cryptic, random, scary images with these cryptic letters.
Mm-hmm.
Now people were speculating that it was Longlegs only because it was Neon Pictures and this movie was produced by that company and it was supposed to come out this year. So people were kind of already catching on to it, but it was still very like, what is this movie? And then even the trailers that were shown in theaters, like it didn't even, for the first trailer that was in theaters, it didn't even say the name of the movie. It just had those letters. And then as time got closer, the trailers got a little more clear as to kind of what you can expect for the movie. But we didn't get that trailer.
Super clear.
It's still,
still vague. Yeah. But you got to kind of see, okay, she's an FBI agent, there's a serial killer, and that's all you know. But there's all these other things that's like, whoa, okay, this is more than just a, crime thriller. There's other stuff in this movie that's going to be kind of shocking. And but that trailer didn't come out until just a few weeks ago. So
I don't know if I watched that trailer.
We saw it in the theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might have it might have been one of those ones
like,
that I
okay, this
okay. Yeah, because for a long time I was like, what the heck? I don't even know if I want to see this. Like, I don't understand what is going on.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna see it because you were so freaked out, so excited about it.
I do too. That's the best when marketing is so vague that you don't really know what to expect. The last time I remember marketing for that is probably Cloverfield. Like the marketing for that was so vague and just like you didn't know what you're gonna get yourself into. So that kind of marketing though does have its ups and it has its downs. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, because it was so vague, a lot of the trailers were that there's a lot of speculation as to what's going on in the movie. There's trailers like that get a lot of hype because we don't get trailers like that anymore. So it kind of helps hype the movie up to a point where it can be bad because you get your hopes up too high and then the movie's not exactly to your expectations and can really like lower like how you feel about the movie, which I think is partly why the audience score was kind of like lower.
Too high.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's what you were thinking of.
I mean,
why it was.
That is part of why I think it was. You know, I don't know if the other part would be no, it wouldn't be a spoiler. This is it's a slow burn movie that a lot of people these days don't like.
Yeah.
I think especially for horror, they want like nonstop, like kind of thing. So I feel like that's another reason why the audience score was lower, but also why the critic score was higher, because they're more into that kind of thing than the regular audience member would be.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped. Now, the issue with marketing is that you can have the movie like this where you don't, it can get your expectations too high, but at the same time, if you show too much of a trailer, then it can just like make you not even want to watch the movie at all. And there's got to be
Smile
some sort
too. We talked
for some
about
people.
that.
Yeah, I mean, there was some in that kind of showed too much. But.
And
Trap.
Maybe. We still don't know yet. I mean, it's
there was
Night.
Another trailer.
He's got
have you seen the second?
I have seen the second one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's a master of mystery. So, for all we know, that could be a mislead completely, and it could be.
I don't. I sure hope so, but I cannot see how. I ended up just closing my eyes and like trying not to listen.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is showing too much, and I would just start closing my eyes. Like, I can't.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna end with basically there's got to be a middle ground somewhere for these, because I love the marketing for this movie, but it definitely did hype this movie up a little bit for me. Yeah. Which is why I really want to watch it again, especially before we do our top 10 of the year.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say before we do our podcast. I'm like,
before we do our podcast. So
we're going to
put this one on for a little while. Let's just wait a couple hours.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to say about the marketing and the possible reason why the scores were different from from the critics. So
for me, I feel like because of the marketing, like I didn't like know about the phone calls and all the extra stuff. I don't really know about those
bloody disgusting
those little
was
things
all over this movie.
There was a phone there was a phone number you could call too.
So I think that right before we were going to the movies, I think it was the same day, my daughter had like called this number, and it was like as if it had called her, like she dialed a number, but I didn't know that she had dialed a number.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it was like as if this person had called her, and it was like this weird, cryptic, kind of creepy call. And I'm like, who the heck are you talking to? And she's like, listen, Mom, I don't know who this is. And like, I'm like, then you need to hang up. Like, this sounds bad. Like, you should not be talking to this person.
Just talking to Nicolas Cage.
Like, what are you doing on your phone? And she's like laughing and like, Mom, you should call them. I'm like, I am not calling that person. I do not know who that is. And after she continued to like laugh about it and stuff, I'm like, this must have been something, like you knew you were setting something up. And so then as we were
a popular thing right now for movies.
As we were walking into the movie, or no, her and I had to like run to the bathroom because we like did not want to have to go, but we like found the perfect time. And as we like were running back into the theater, she's like, I wonder if it was this guy who called me. I'm like, oh. So I think it was something like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular thing these days for the marketing. It's like text this number, call this number, and
got one from Jigsaw.
Jigsaw, Ghostface. The Ghostface one was the best though.
Yeah.
Ghostface would call you. You could
Yeah.
like trick people with that.
And
one.
you
Oh,
were
yeah.
like sending it to people.
I
Yeah.
was sending it to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, you said that to me. I'm like,
friends.
Ghostface is calling me.
Yeah, it was funny. It's funny because you definitely inspired Prosperity, and now she's tricking me and stuff. So,
So another thing that was good about the marketing was they kept Nicolas Cage like out of the marketing for the most part. You could hear his voice at times, like just kind of in the background, but it was like a creepy voice.
Yeah.
And he was like covered up, you know, if his character was shown at all, it was very quick and he was like covered up. And they did that during the movie for a lot of the movie. It was just like kind of shots that were in the distance or real quick. He would like pop up, or, you know, it was just like a side view or something. You had to kind of continue watching the movie to get a better look at him.
Yeah.
And when you actually see the good look and what he's saying, and, you know, it's pretty disturbing content that he's speaking on.
And what was really awesome was it didn't like, it wasn't like overwhelmingly like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, you couldn't really tell.
You couldn't tell. They did a great job with the makeup, with disguising him. His voice, it didn't sound like classic Nicolas Cage. And that is so awesome because he's such a like well-known actor. He's in everything under the sun.
Yeah.
He like has such a way about him that it's like, oh, there's Nicolas Cage, you know, like and this didn't feel like Nicolas Cage at all. And that is super cool.
They should have done what they did with 7 and not had the Nicolas Cage until the very end of the movie. Like they did with Kevin Spacey as John Doe. Like they saved that until the movie was over. And then it said, and Kevin Spacey as John Doe.
Oh, yeah. The credits.
Yeah, the credits. Because it said Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. And it's like, well, all right. Now everyone knows. I'm sure. That
it was a surprise for Kevin Spacey to be in the movie at all.
Yeah. And, you know, people going into this, even throughout the movie, may not have even realized that was Nicolas Cage. You know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Should have kept it a secret longer.
Yeah.
I mean, they did throughout the whole marketing, so.
Yeah.
So Nicolas Cage obviously did a good job as Longlegs. Very creepy. The makeup and everything, like you were saying, was very well done. But I think my favorite thing about the movie is the sound, actually. There were moments where it was like just rising, not like jump scare style, but it was like him screaming. And it got louder and louder, and it was just like, it made you feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And the music, like it was just kind of rising to the point of like almost hurting your ears, but just kind of right there, you know, to just make you kind of squirm.
Well, yeah, and like you said, make you uncomfortable, where not just creepy uncomfortable, but like, oh, I don't know if I should be sitting here right now. Like, I don't know, like just like this, like, oh, but
it attacks your senses.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and like, oh my gosh, they did a really good job of that. They did have a few times where there were some like sound jump scare sounds, and that was kind of, it was like, okay, you know, it was like so obvious that it wasn't, and so far in between that it wasn't like upsetting. It didn't like really lower my impression of the movie, but it was like, that was unnecessary. That was a little much.
Movie totally didn't need it.
No, didn't need it at all.
No.
And it reminded me of when you're first watching Insidious and the very beginning, and it already starts out as and it's like, okay, I see, we're watching. Each time it did that, it reminded me of something like that, and it was like, okay, I'm watching.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
This is,
Which maybe that's why I didn't mind it as much, because
Yeah.
it like kept me on my toes.
Mhm.
yeah.
It wasn't like opening a can of cat food and all of a sudden
Oh, man.
So what'd you guys think of Micah Monroe, her performance?
I thought she did really good.
Yeah.
oh
I
my
liked her.
gosh.
I liked her
Yeah.
performance a lot.
She's a good actress. I
she
liked her
is.
in multiple things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, she's she could be a future scream queen. Definitely, she's done enough like horror movies at this point.
Yeah.
But there were people saying that her acting was flat or like just like really bad. Like
That was her personality.
That was
yeah,
intentional.
exactly. That was intentional. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
when
thought
you're-
she was fabulous.
And when you're acting against Nicolas Cage, everyone's acting's gonna
Yeah.
seem a little flat.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
he's a little up there.
A little eccentric.
No, but I thought, oh my gosh, I thought her
She did a really
acting
good
was fabulous. I thought
Mhm.
you could get her personality. Like I felt like she really showed her personality from the very beginning, and it was consistent throughout.
And it made sense.
And it did.
At the end of the movie, it
Yeah.
made sense too.
Totally. And this is the thing, is I feel like oftentimes characters will start out with that kind of just like a quirky personality or something weird about them, and as the movie progresses, as the action picks up, they lose that.
Yeah, it's not consistent.
Yeah, and she was herself all the way through. I just loved it. I thought she did such a fabulous job at sticking in character.
Yeah.
Even like when she was on the bed talking to the little girl, and it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
she just made it.
There was multiple like laugh out loud moments in the movie, just because it was like uncomfortable and like awkward.
Yeah.
Little comments and little just moments where it was like, there's not a joke.
No.
Or anything that's like obviously funny, but the mood, the awkwardness, and then the comment, like it was funny, but like in a clever way.
Yeah, and just like, man, like how
are we
weird and
laughing at this
uncomfortable in this position, like yeah. I loved her.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's been in multiple things. I'm excited for They Follow. She's going to be in that. So, which is one of her like, takeoff like performances.
Her breakout performance or whatever.
And how about like the way it was shot and stuff? Joel, what do you think about that?
I really liked it. It had sort of an like artsy feel to it. Like a low budget. The movie apparently only cost like $3-4 million to make, and just in its opening weekend made. I looked before we did this, and just this weekend it made like $22 million. So that's
wow.
yeah. So it's doing really well, especially for Neon. Like they're a very low budget like company that's just kind of breaking out here within the last few years. But so I really loved how it was shot. Like every scene, and this is part of why people might think it was a slow burn, because like every scene was just like they took their time with, and like didn't pan away quickly or anything. Like every scene was shot just like I mean, this movie could have been probably 20 minutes shorter if they were gonna really like do some fast paced like cinematography and whatnot and just like go faster. But it was perfect the way that it was. And I really liked the cinematography was really good in this movie. So
the snowy
this
came out in the middle of the summer.
Like
the snowy like scenery and stuff. And the fact that it didn't specifically say that this took place in the 90s.
Yeah, I didn't realize it did until we go into Blair Underwood's office, and he's got a picture of Bill Clinton hanging up. On
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're in the 90s.
And like a really big picture of Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm like,
He's a big fan.
I don't think there's a lot of people who just like hung up big, huge pictures of Bill Clinton in their offices. But okay. I loved the variation of the, I don't know what you would call it, but the screen size, like
Oh yeah.
how it
Oh,
went
yeah.
from like full screen to like
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
this, like
Polaroid,
almost,
kind of like
yeah,
from a beginning
yeah, because
shot.
almost like you're doing like a home video,
Mhm.
but it wasn't quite just home video.
It wasn't home
It
video
was like-
quality.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like you
Yeah.
could tell a little bit of a difference, but it was like that rounded,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
Yeah. It wasn't the full
made you
widescreen.
feel, yeah. And then it was like, I don't remember if it was always when it was like a memory of hers. I feel
think
like it
so.
was during her memories,
Yeah.
and that was in the past, you know, like
Yeah.
if this took place in the 90s, then that was like what the
70s.
and so that's what film would have looked like
Mhm.
then.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool how they did that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I won't give anything away, but how the different characters looked during each time. I
Yeah.
feel like they
Mhm.
did a great job with keeping with the time period
Mhm.
that it was showing you.
Well, and when
Um,
you watch the movie, you don't necessarily know
Yeah.
why it's going back and forth.
Yeah.
You don't really
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to learn that as you watch. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, all the shots and everything, like you were saying, Joel, they took their time.
Mhm.
It was building that atmosphere, you know, building the
Yeah.
suspense. The whole scene where Micah Monroe's character is like talking to her mom on the phone, and then she like hears something outside or something, and she goes outside, and you know, that whole segment was very well done with like building the suspense. And I didn't expect like something to really happen during that scene.
Mhm.
But like you get some good like background shots and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool. Okay, that's the kind of stuff I like.
Mhm. Yeah.
I love the background.
Yeah.
When you can see stuff in the background, it's like, okay, cool.
There was a shot. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There was a shot in when she was at home, looked like what looked like a cabin. When she's like on the phone with her mom, and the camera is like was like pointed. It's directly on her, but you can see her like living room area from. I
That's
really
what
thought.
I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, I was staring at that background the entire time, not even focusing on her. I'm like, what's
What's happening?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
going on over here?
The one thing about our movie experience when we first got there, we had gotten tickets like a little bit like last minute.
Mhm.
And so we, you know, took the seats that were available. When we walked in, there was a dog in our seat. And so
like literally sitting in the chair.
yeah,
Can I see
And
your
like-
ticket, please?
and like from his owners.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, why did you have your dog sitting over here and you're over there? So anyway, so then they had to like get their dog and all move down to their actual seats that they got. I don't know why they didn't just buy the middle seats
I
if they
don't
wanted
think
those.
that those were even their seats. I think they were not even supposed to be in the movie.
Yeah, maybe they snuck in. I don't
Yeah.
even know.
Yeah, if
and
they had to
so-
move down, they probably didn't.
But
buy
this
those
is the
tickets.
thing though, is those tickets were purchased. Those seats next
yeah.
to us.
Yeah, they were.
Hmm.
So
It was
they
weird.
probably couldn't
Okay,
count.
well, here's the thing. So then the dog still gets to have her own little seat. And so she's sitting next to me and she keeps inching over at me, trying to like look at my food, and she's licking my arm and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got like, and so then she gets super cute. And so she's like, like looking at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this dog. I'm like, I'm gonna be so distracted. This little thing is so cute because it's like a little puppy and everything. And so then during the movie, these chicks were so loud. They were talking and laughing with each other while, like, it
so
not
annoying.
even about the movie. They're just like over there chatting and talking and laughing and just down in beers. Like this one here and come back, and because they serve alcohol at the theaters now.
Yeah.
And so she keeps, and when she leaves, it's her dog. So then the dog is whining while she leaves. So it's whining, and then the other chick is like, quiet, quiet. Oh my gosh, be quiet. And it's like, you're making it worse.
Yeah.
Like, just pet her and she'll be quiet. And so then the dog is jumping back and forth to seats and getting down and trying to. She at one point had to chase the dog down the aisle.
Oh my gosh.
So then,
Yeah, I felt
so then-
something like hit my foot. I'm like, what the heck? And then it's the dog.
The dog.
Like,
How is that
I'm
even
way
allowed in a movie theater?
I know, it
every
was
animal's at home.
crazy. I know, it was crazy. And so then, after this chick, I mean, she was on her third beer that I saw, at least.
Oh, man.
And I mean, they were like just like so loud and like laughing at like weird things that I'm like, I think they're pretty wasted already. I think they've already had a few in. So so then during one of those scenes that there was something in the background, they're like, oh, freaking out. And like, I swear she was sure that the girl was gonna see her pointing.
Yeah.
She keeps like yelling, girl,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
Oh,
It's like
that's
those
so-
things are fun, the stuff in the background, the suspense
Mhm.
it's building. But there's a point where it's like, okay, you're overreacting about this. They
Yeah.
cannot hear you.
Those are the type of people that scream during Paranormal Activity when the door slightly opens or closes.
Oh my
There's
gosh,
like-
yeah. Yeah.
Just like the
They were
smallest little thing.
definitely- Yeah. And they were definitely doing that. And oh my gosh.
That would be so annoying.
It was not the best.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't sitting on that.
I know.
side.
I was like, why did I get this seat? But yeah.
Oh man.
So, yeah, the performances all around. Blair Underwood too. He did a good
Yeah.
job.
Oh yeah.
The movie kind of has like a, I don't know if I'd say a twist, but kind of some reveals,
Yeah.
throughout, and is pretty disturbing and has some interesting story
Mhm.
that I was not expecting for this
Mhm.
movie. It kind of like turns into a different movie almost.
Mhm.
Like once the story kind of unravels, it's like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's not a crime thriller anymore. It's
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is where the
kinda-
horror part comes in.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah. So, I mean, it's making a lot of money. I could definitely see a sequel here, or a prequel, I guess you could say.
yeah.
Maybe. Because there's some elements to the movie that it's like, okay, this could continue on
Mhm.
with, some of the stuff that happens. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it doesn't have a clear ending, I wouldn't say. But
Yeah.
maybe?
It kind of
I don't know. You could kind of
just yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to like remember exactly like the last shot of.
Mhm.
I mean, I know the last shot of the movie.
Yeah.
But like when they're
Yeah.
all in the house and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really have that clear of an ending.
Mhm.
So it could.
I don't
continue.
know.
Do
I
you
don't
think
know
they
if,
did that to leave it open for possibilities of more? Or
I don't think
More
so. I
so
think this
it's
is
just
the
like
type of
the
movie.
feel.
Yeah, I think
That's
this is
what
the
I was
type of movie
thinking.
where you want to
Yeah.
have that kind of lingering question,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know if Neon is the type of production company. They're kind of like A24.
Yeah.
They're like kind of a smaller version of A24 right now.
They're
Um,
smaller, but at the same time, I didn't realize this was a Neon movie until I looked it up. But Parasite was a Neon movie, and that won like
That
Best
was
Picture
big.
a couple of years ago. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're smaller than A24, but like movie wise, I feel like they're kind of bigger.
Kinda
They just don't have as many movies that they've
Maybe
done.
it's because of how well their marketing is.
Yeah. Parasite kind of
Yeah.
came out of nowhere. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about that movie until the award season came around. It was like
Yeah.
all over. So
Okay, so we've all like kind of everything we've talked about. I was like, I love that. Oh, I love that. Is
Yeah.
there anything that you guys would say were any negatives? Or if you had to pick a negative?
I would say at times Nicolas Cage was a little much.
He
At
Over the
times.
top.
Yeah, a little much. And his like voice, how his voice sounded was a little much. So it was like, okay, like I would have rather him have like different variations of his character. Like instead of just having this same voice the whole time, like if he could have toned it down and then been a little more like serious, and creepy in that way, I think it would have been more effective. But he was just kind of crazy the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I would say if there was some different levels to his character, I would have enjoyed it more.
Okay.
But that's like, that's a nitpick. Like
that's if you're
Yeah.
trying to find
if I'm
a
trying
negative.
to find a negative, and not even really a negative, but like how it could have been better.
Yeah. Yeah. A
Yeah.
critique.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the marketing definitely did work on me. But at the same time, my expectations were a little bit hyped for it, a little bit more than maybe they wouldn't have been if the marketing wasn't so good. So I would say just like maybe a little bit overhyped for me. Also, as much as I love the cinematography and like the slow, like them taking their time on the shots, some of the scenes were a little slow. And I like slow burn movies, that they don't bother me at all. But it's just like some of the scenes, like they could have been a little bit faster. It could have been, a little bit quicker. But I mean, other than that, like the acting was really good. The story was good. And yeah, I would. And yeah, Nicolas Cage was a little over the top at times. I know that's his whole character, but I mean, you can calm it down a little bit too. Because like there's been a lot of movies with serial killers, and they're not always like that. Like there's definitely layers to those characters, and he basically had one layer. And it was just crazy the entire time. He still did a really good job in the movie, but there were definitely times that he could have calmed down.
Yeah. What about you?
I think if I had to find a negative, I think the one thing, and I think I told you right after we saw it, was that I did kind of predict one of the, I don't know if you'd call it like you were referring to, I don't know if you call it a twist or like a
reveal
in the movie,
because there's this lingering question throughout the movie.
Yeah, and I
get a reveal.
predicted that like early on. And so it wasn't a big shocker to me, where I think it was supposed to be kind of a shocker.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that, like I said, if I had to find a negative, I think that would be my negative. but it's not like they did anything wrong with that. Maybe I'm just that amazing.
Just that good.
You know, I'm just that smart.
Yeah.
Pick up on these things.
Yeah.
I should have been an investigator.
Could have had it solved in just a day.
Oh yeah. I had it figured out. I had every level of it figured out. No, sure. Yeah, and I think that I thought that where they were going with kind of this, like you said, when it kind of turned into a different kind of movie, when it first started to, I thought, I don't know if I like where this is going.
Yeah.
But by the end, I wasn't mad.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad at it. It was like, no, that wasn't too much for me. And I thought it was going to spoilers. I'll explain that a little better.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was going to be a negative, but by then I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was kind of a cool, like, plot device.
Yeah.
At the end, it was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And it adds to the creepiness of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps to add to that reveal.
Yeah.
And where that came from.
I have one more for you too.
Oh, okay.
Just
man, now another on a roll.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Putting all this all the flaws.
At the end, like that whole last scene, the main character knows what's going on.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, why aren't you doing something?
Yeah.
To prevent this, and she's just kind of stuck and doesn't jump in action. And I kind of was like, oh, but man, why aren't you doing anything right now?
Yeah, but I have an explanation for that when we get into spoilers.
Okay.
So I have an argument for that.
Okay.
What's your next one, Joel?
So my next one, and hopefully last one, this movie was very creepy. I was creeped out pretty much the entire time. This is not scary, though. This is not a scary movie. I saw it was I don't remember what the name of the company was, but there was a quote, the scariest movie this decade in a decade or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like it's good. It's creepy, but it's not scary. Even when we get to like the horror part of the movie, it's still like there are a couple of jump scares in the movie, but like I was creeped out, but I wasn't scared in this movie. So I mean,
depends on your definition of scary, right?
As far as
for some people, I think it could be scary to think of these types of people out there, but you're not like leaving the theater like, oh man, I'm scared.
Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
It's like it for me. It's like, how did you leave the theater?
Yeah.
Was it scary to walk to your car? Was it scary as you drove home and thought about like going into your house and that kind of thing? For me, I think that second plot that we are alluding to, I think that's what takes the scariness out of it for me. Because
kind of takes the realism.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't know if that was going to be too much of a spoiler. But it just makes it a little less realistic.
Yeah.
And so then it wasn't like this, oh my gosh, there could be someone out there like this. It was more removed from real life.
That makes sense.
So that's what kind of to me made it not scary. Like, so I would agree with that, Joel.
All right.
I allow that opinion.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
We'll accept it.
Appreciate that.
So we've tried our best to stay away from spoilers. We may
did a
have
pretty good
given a little bit here and there, but
Joel approves.
Joel
I think we did a pretty
good job. But for sure, go see it, especially if you're a horror
definitely.
fan. I think you'll enjoy it.
I think we gave people a reasonable expectation walking into this movie, more than we got, because I didn't know it was going to be a slow burn walking into it, and it was. But So, and it's also, I mean, like you said, it really depends on your definition of scary, but the traditional, like, how you feel when you walk out of a theater kind of like vibe, scary is not, I don't like horrified. Like you were saying, like scared to walk to your car. This was a serial killer movie, which is real. Like that does happen in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But like you were saying, I think the a part of it kind of took that away from this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would have been able to do the movie without that, but because it gets a little crazy.
It would be a very different movie without that. Yeah. And I have thoughts on that kind of. So we'll talk about that when we get to spoilers.
All right.
I don't remember where I was going. So that's
all
right.
Yeah, we've tried to stay away from spoilers. If you want to, well, let's give our rating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gotta do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 96.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I gave Maxine, and I enjoyed it pretty much the same amount, but it's very different. Maxine was a lot more fast paced, a lot more action. This one is much slower, building, uncomfortable type of movie. So I want to see these like back to back because I feel like they just are a good, like, what is it, yin and yang?
Yeah. Okay.
So 96.
Okay.
That's back to back weeks.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. We don't have anything for a couple weeks, but Trap will be our next one. So
Trap and
who knows? The Cuckoo, which also neon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I heard that one. I didn't watch it. I heard the trailer for that gave away a lot.
Oh,
yeah, I did too.
I
heard that too. I did watch the trailer.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad that I haven't seen the trailer because I can't even think of what that's about.
It was during Longlegs.
Okay, well, don't remind me. I don't know anything about it.
So Cody Leach saw the movie already, and he posted like, "Don't watch the trailer," because he saw the trailer and he's like, "Yeah, it gives away some pretty important stuff."
Okay, so I do remember a trailer coming. I remember it being neon.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but what the trailer was, and I'm not going to try to right now. But I do remember Prosperity, our daughter, was like, want to see that movie, and she was all excited, and it said neon, so we thought the name of the movie was called Neon. Because it was some reason I think I was looking at the dog or something, and she's like, because we do this thing during the theater, we do either a thumbs up, a thumbs to the side, or a thumbs down. So it's either you want to go to the theater and see it, you want to just wait till it's streaming, or don't care about seeing it.
Not at all.
And so she was like, Mom. And I was like, I missed it. I didn't see. And she's like, it's called Neon. So she thought the movie was Neon. So anyway, then she was like, when the movie came on and it said Neon, and she's like, what?
Is that what we're watching?
We see it right now.
So I was trying to explain to her that that's the production company. She's like, I don't know what that means. But okay, so she wants to see it, so we'll all go see it.
Yes.
All right.
You can do a double feature with Trap.
Yeah.
All right,
sneak
Joel.
into Trap.
What is your grade?
So, because of the hypeness, like going into this movie, I was like, this is gonna be like top 3 of the year for me. Like my expectations were like pretty high. So because of that, it did lower it a little bit. I mean, it could still be top 3. I'll have to watch it again for sure before we do that ranking. But I was I was ready to give this like a high 90s, but I think I'm gonna have to give it like an 89. I really like.
Wow. Okay.
I really liked it, but yeah,
just a little too
hyped.
hyped up.
It was hyped, yeah. And
that was like Smile for me.
Yeah, which we will definitely talk about.
Oh, I can't wait to review that one. We need to do that.
I
soon.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, what did I rate?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna follow suit with you.
Okay.
I really loved this movie.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make me lower it, but then at the same time kind of keeps me where it is because of what it is that creepiness, that why you're saying people are giving it low ratings. That would initially make me want to lower my score, but then at the same time it's like that's the whole intention of a horror movie.
Yeah.
And so for watching it as a horror movie, it's like actually that's going to keep my score where it is.
And it's not like it's that the whole movie.
No.
There's just like parts.
You get breaks and it ended very heavy on that. Or not ended, but like towards the end. It got kind of heavy on that, and it was like, oh my gosh, that like hurt my heart. You know, like some of the statements were like, no, don't say that. Like, I don't want to hear that. And so, you know, it was super uncomfortable, but I think that's why it's such a good movie too.
Effective.
It really it really got you in your feels. I was almost thinking a 97, but I don't think I want to rate it higher than Maxine. So
it gives you that level of discomfort that's just like kind of just right. You know, you kind of want to feel a little discomfort during a horror film, but you don't want it to be too much. You know? And this movie gets to that level, but it doesn't go above it. I don't feel like. But for some, I could definitely understand. But I don't think they should give it a 1.
No.
You know, it's not a bad made.
No, it's not. No, at all. Yeah.
No.
That's the worst movie I've ever seen. No, it's. I can guarantee you it's not. Like, I don't know these people, but I can guarantee you it's not the worst movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know. As I'm sitting here, I'm like, maybe I do want to give it a 97. But 96.5.
Okay.
It's a radio station.
All right. Well, this has been a non-spoiler hour-long review.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
So we're gonna get into spoilers. If you want to stick with us and hear the specific content, the specific scenes that we've alluded to, then you're going to want to go to patreon.com/scaretalk. Sign up. You can get 7 days free and go through our entire catalog of spoilers and exclusive episodes that we have not posted anywhere else. But make sure to like and subscribe to this video and this channel, or however you're watching or listening to this. Send us comments, send us messages on the social medias and all that.
Yeah, chat with us. It's so fun to hear like your guys' opinions, and
if
you agree with what we're saying, or if you're like, oh my gosh, you guys are so crazy and off. Like,
all right.
Yeah.
So now
let's get scary.
Get scary over at Patreon. If you're not joining us,
peace out.
Bye.
See you later.